Welcome to Reckless Speculation, now featuring the mute button for Raj. Y'all know Raj is always late, and you know he's going to come on and ramble about the Pac-12. The greatest Raj line, let's make fun of him, is when he thought that Lincoln Riley didn't leave Oklahoma because they were going to play in the SEC. And it's not easier, it's no harder in the SEC than it is the Pac-12. Raj, I love you, brother, but that's the worst line you ever come on. Welcome,
worst take of the show.
Welcome to Reckless Speculation. Robbie Davis, how are you?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. Nice Vols win last night. Heading up to Knoxville this weekend. So just, rejuicing the flames right now.
Robbie, and you're prepared to talk about college basketball. We love someone that's prepared for the show. So let's bring in the next guy that's prepared, the Big Ten expert, the Buckeye himself, D Chain.
What's going on?
Well, I got big news. Y'all ready for big news before we get started with this show?
Sure.
Selection Sunday. As soon as the selection is over with, AAU coach, spectacular, the man who has failed not to put, no player that has played for him in the last 10 years has failed to get a college scholarship if they played their AAU high school career with him. He has put more kids in college than student loans. Mr. Roy Pankey for the Tennessee Force will be joining us Selection Sunday. After the brackets are announced.
Us as in us?
Us as in a Selection Sunday. The show we've been planning since last year. Our 1-year anniversary of being on the air. And Roy will give us an instant breakdown of the brackets, the bracket busters, the 5-12 matchups, who's got a good path, who's got an easy path. And we will have him live on the air approximately 6:15 a week from Sunday. Robbie, you Selection Sunday, our 1-year anniversary. You excited?
Yes, I am excited. Well, I didn't realize that was our first show. I was actually talking to a friend about it. They were like, I enjoy the podcast. And I was like, well, thank you. And then I was like, yeah, I guess we've been doing it for 6 months or so. But it's been a year. Wow. Time flies. I did not know. I guess looking back on it now, I guess it was Selection Sunday. I remember the draft and a few shows in between. I don't remember, but that's par for the course.
You and I actually did a show prior to the Ncaa or the SEC tournament as a test show, just so we could make sure the equipment worked and stuff. And that was our first ever show. And then the next week, our friend that's gone now, that's off in the land of Bigfoot, Philip Chaplin, and Raj join us next week.
Hey, has he found Bigfoot yet?
I don't know if he found Bigfoot. I will have an update on Chappie and his search for Bigfoot next week.
Can we get him on March Madness? Just like a little,
I'll ask him.
Have you found Bigfoot?
I will ask Chappie if he'll come on. I'm just proud I've got Reckless Speculation out 2 times in a row, now 3. Robbie, I'm going to recklessly speculate a lot right now. We are a ways away from the NCAA tournament. On my TV in front of us right now, I'm watching Mississippi State playing Auburn, which, if Mississippi State can beat Auburn, will throw the SEC into a mess for that overall championship. But let's talk about that top 4 double bye teams. I don't know in my life of being an SEC basketball fan if I've ever seen 4 teams at the top of the SEC as good as Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Auburn. Can you come up with a year where it was that strong?
No, the only time I can think of was the 18, maybe 17, 18, 18, 19, where Tennessee, Kentucky met in the semifinals. Auburn won. Auburn won to win the Final Four, but I don't remember the 4th team, who they were, if they were that.
Florida.
Maybe that was Auburn.
Well, Florida was very good that year too. We beat Florida at Florida.
But this season, these top 4, this is the top heavy league, and yeah, any of these teams can win. And actually, the three and the 4 seed, I think, is where you don't want to be. One or two. No, sorry. 2, 3 is where you don't want to be. 1 or 4 is where you want to be. You want to be in that top line. You don't want that Kentucky draw. I don't think on a neutral side. That's the team that I think is probably the most talented. And so, if I'm Tennessee, I want the 1 seed, or you don't want to lose at home because you want to keep the undefeated home winning streak. But slipping to 4 is not the end of the world.
But if you slip to 4, you get Alabama in the semifinals or the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Alabama lost to A&M tonight, though. Alabama's they're one of those teams. Like, I think this is what people do in sports. You look back to what happened last year and think of Alabama's team last year. This year, they're not that good. I mean, honestly, if Tennessee, if Chandler and Fulkerson don't get COVID and don't miss that game in Alabama, we're talking about a Tennessee winning the SEC championship, just a home win away.
I don't disagree, but I'll also say that Alabama shoots above 40%. It's a different football or basketball team. Brandon, did you have something to add there?
No, I was just going to say, out of those 4 teams, I definitely think Tennessee's the most dangerous in the conference right now. The way they're playing, they're rolling well. The win last night was great. Even Ziegler didn't even play well. And I think, they're a team you got to watch out for. Like I said before, I mean, when they shoot the ball, make the ball, their defense is playing well. They're going to be dangerous. So it's going to be interesting to see.
So a point to make here is Ncaa Ziegler took the court after a few hours after his family home had burned down. 5 hours ago, the University of Tennessee released a GoFundMe, if you'd like to give to it, that is raised, as of the airing, $270,000 for the Ziegler family. And I commend the University of Tennessee. NIL be damned, tornado, whatever be damned. This is a kid that we are to be able to help, and he's a big part of the university. If you'd like to give, I did right before we came over for RiverCity-Media. You can go to GoFundMe, Ncaa Ziegler, and you can find it there very easily.
And just to touch on that, yes, what a wonderful thing to do. And this should be, and this what is the purpose of the NIL, and like these players should be able to get paid when they need it. You don't understand, this happened 2 years ago. A freshman player, his mom's apartment gets burned down, essentially rendering him homeless. If the university raised money for him and her, that's the death penalty in college sports.
It is.
Now it is just, and Ziegler said, hey, we're just going to thank you all. We're going to take the replacement cost, whatever it takes. I think from what I heard or what I read, I think the family's going to move down to Knoxville now because money obviously goes a lot further here than it does in New York. And they're going to relocate here, and everything above the rebuild they're going to give to charity. And I gave some money earlier. Like it's just a great cause. And like Auburn's been on board, Kentucky's been like their Twitter. Every Southeastern, not everyone, but most Southeastern Conference Twitters have been, hey, support. I mean, it's just fantastic to see people coming together for.
So when I went over and done a donation in our names, RiverCity-Media, which is a small thing, it was in between someone who had posted and donated that said "Go Big Blue," and somebody that had said "Roll Tide" in their comments, and we are not a family-friendly conference. We have a lot of hard feelings, but we are a family-friendly region of the country, and we all get behind a young man like this. Moving on back to basketball, Raj, I know you are the Pac-12 best side of the coast guy, but right now we're on the SEC. Yeah. I'm going to give you a scenario. Kentucky, Auburn, trending down. Arkansas, Tennessee, trending up. Yes or no?
I guess right now, yeah. When Kentucky's fully healthy, I think they're the best team in the SEC. Tennessee and Arkansas, they're both hot and cold. Tennessee, if the tournament were played in Knoxville, I'd give them the championship right now, the Final Four and everything. They're not a great road team. They're not a great shooting team. Overall, they can get hot. They've had a bunch of injuries. That being said, their ceiling is as high as anybody in the country. But we've seen the floor a lot with Tennessee. And, Arkansas, Alabama, I'm not a believer. I've said that many times. Just too many. They rely far too much on the three. And in the NCAA tournament, you can't do that. You're playing in foreign environments. People are going to zone and just let you fire away. That's what happens last year. They got beat. Auburn, Jabari Smith is phenomenal, but are they overall a better team than Kentucky or Tennessee? I don't think so.
Not to interrupt you, but I'd like to make a point. I think Jabari Smith is so incredible. He's the clear number one prospect in the draft. Would you go there? Or?
Holmgren's also a unicorn. In today's NBA, you can be 100 pounds and do whatever you want. Overall, historically, yeah. And I think he's the best, 6'10", 220. But Holmgren is kind of a freak handling the ball and shooting. So is Jabari Smith. You can't lose with either of those guys.
Banchero also.
Those two. Banchero's up there too. Just everybody's so skilled now, these big men. It's pretty crazy. Evan Mobley was kind of the same, but these guys are really good. You can't lose. Overall, though, I'd go with Kentucky, if healthy.
Well, Robbie, that's the question I was going to you now. Ty Washington sees the court for about 20 minutes. He is expected to play a full this weekend. Kentucky's downslide or their struggles over the last few weeks has been directly linked to the number of minutes Ty Washington can play. He really is the engine that makes that team go.
So the SEC is tough, man. And so I think this is going to be one of the wildest tournaments, maybe not in close games, but just in to go on Raj's point, Tennessee hasn't lost at home. Kentucky hasn't lost at home. Auburn hasn't lost at home. Mississippi State's lost once at home. Arkansas hasn't lost at home. It's a home. It's almost like the home field SEC football came into basketball. And Tennessee plays Arkansas this weekend. I don't have a worry. Tennessee's going to roll them because that's what they do at home. They've been favored against. Tennessee handled Arizona at home, and Arizona may be the best team in the country. It's crazy, just what home court does in college basketball. So you get a neutral site. There's going to be a lot of Kentucky fans, probably going to be a lot of Florida fans, maybe. There won't be any Georgia fans, but Tampa's a weird spot for this tournament this year.
That neutral site better not have any orange in it. That's for damn sure. Those dudes see orange and they shoot 80%.
Yeah.
They are.
Auburn is off to an incredible start in this game. I'm watching it over 10-2. They lead after 5 minutes, and they have been shooting well. Brendan, we talked about it. I think Arkansas did lose to Robbie early before the conference. I think they're undefeated in the conference. But, Brendan, is it the SEC teams are bad on the road, or is it just 13 for Auburn? Is it just tough to play on the road in this conference? There's some intimidating places to go in the SEC basketball. While it's not a traditional basketball conference, you've got two humongous gyms in Kentucky and Tennessee, and then you have a bunch of these, I call them bandboxes, but they're 7,000 to 10,000 seats arena where the fans are literally on top of the court. I think it's some of both. Tough to play in these places.
I definitely think it is. Like you said, and the SEC is starting to become a big conference in basketball and tough to play in. You look at, what Robbie just said, all the at-home teams that are undefeated. That's pretty incredible. To go this stretch this far all the way up to March and be undefeated or one-loss team at home and in the SEC. So, it is a big deal this time. So I'm anxious to see the tournament like in the neutral site and see how these teams can actually play. Again, it comes down like I'm big on Tennessee, and I'm not a Vols fan by any means. You guys know that, and I've been watching them play a lot lately. And man, when they're making the baskets and shooting the three, I mean, these guys are like Raj said, the ceiling is as high as anybody. So I'm anxious to see this neutral site transition and to see if they can win here and carry that into the big tournament. So
it's tough though. There's a lot of bad non-conference matchups. There's a lot of losses there. Now we all know Tennessee should have beat Texas at Texas, but woulda, coulda, shoulda, and there's a bunch of losses on neutral sites that are not. Yes, it's very hard to win on the road in the SEC.
But
the hardest in the country. But how do we know these teams aren't overinflated? They often are. Kentucky, it's a very insular conference. So I guess we'll see. Last year, I don't recall how many teams were in the Elite Eight or Final Four. It might have been 0, right? So that's last year. But I don't know how good these teams are. I know that the ceiling is high. I know there's great players on some of these teams. But I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of teams got bounced early on, just like last year.
I mean, it's possible. But you look at, I mean, when you get to the big tournament like this, it takes a little bit of magic. Like, look at Oregon State, for instance, last year. I mean, they were good. Pretty much nobody. And they made it all the way to Elite Eight, which got my boy a big new contract there, Wayne Tinkle. So, and
won
this year they've won like
games, but yeah, this year they're not.
Yeah,
they've had a lot of injuries.
They've won like 3 or 4 games. So, it takes a little magic when you get to the tournament. So
we would be remiss if we will also get our predictions of seeding for that top 4 in a second. But I want to run around one more time the panel, and I want to talk about the conference player of the year and probably the national player of the year, Tshiebwe from Kentucky. And also a guy that stands to get the largest NIL in the history of NIL if he comes back next year. The most physical, can't get him off the spot. Has he played himself into a lottery pick? Probably, but Robbie, he's just a force that no one else has as far as on the offensive and defensive boards. What do you think of his game? Moving over from West Virginia, I really, when he transferred, I was not screaming, Kentucky just got a future player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I think he's definitely up there with player of the year, top 3. My thing is, though, where does he translate into the NBA? Because the NBA is a whole different game, and like, these big guys that can't shoot, or not can't shoot, but just not a threat to shoot. He's always going to be – I think he's got room to grow. But, I mean, he's really good, but he's looked bad at times. And he commits stupid fouls. I think his potential is exponentially from where it is now. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm a top 5 pick, top 3 pick, I don't have a problem picking him and watching him grow. But as far as I don't know if he's ready NBA made yet. He'll make a difference, but he's not going to be a Ja Morant, for instance, right now.
Today's NBA, you can be a tweener. Is he most skilled, like as skilled as Zion? No. But today's NBA, a 6'9", 260-pound dude, is going to be effective. Is he as skilled as the top of the draft? No. I have a quick question for you guys. The SEC tournament is a gauntlet. You've got, even when, let's say the teams, I mean, there's no other rivalries like in that conference, regardless of the sport. Is it such a bad thing to lose in the first or second round and get that rest? Because, I mean, what is that, a 2-week ordeal, sold out, huge stadium? I mean, if I'm a team and lose in the first or second round and I'm already like Tennessee, basically assured based on my wins of a 4 or higher seed, I don't have to, I mean, maybe bragging rights, but I mean, you just see that unless a team gets hot like Oregon State or UConn a few years ago, that'll wear you out, man. That tournament is rigorous. Do you guys care if you lose early?
So I'm going to answer this, and Robbie, you can give the answer. I would trade an Elite 11 or Elite 8 performance for an SEC tournament championship. It has been the prize that has avoided this university for decades. I was in the 7th grade the last time at Tennessee won an SEC championship. We've had our heart broken that tournament, and I really do feel like.
Wait, you're saying you'd rather win the SEC tournament than the Elite 8?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Final Four run, no. You give me a choice, Elite 8 or the SEC championship, I take.
You mean make it to the Elite 8, not win in the Elite 8, because then you'd be in the Final Four.
Right, just get there.
Yeah.
So that's my
I'd take the Elite 8 all day. But I get it. That's cool.
SEC tournament.
Your opinion.
I'm telling you, man, if we could win that.
As much as I don't extremely disagree with you, because the SEC tournament is an elusive banner that we don't have since 1978. But you can't get to the Final Four without getting to the Elite 8.
All right. So I got a question to go at you.
Arkansas was in the final Elite 8 last year, though. Sorry.
SEC championship, Sweet 16. No SEC championship, Elite 8. Which one do you take?
Elite 8.
Elite 8.
I'm different. I want that big title that says SEC champions. But
and I can see this year too. You know, stacked as the SEC is right now with the top seeds, maybe having that championship. But at the end of the day, if you're already locked in, I mean, like to Raj's point, why not take advantage of that rest if you go out? Yeah, I mean, play the game, try and win. But if you get beat early, big deal. Like,
do you know how many of these tournaments I went to thinking we're going to win and came home?
You're trying to. Nobody's going to remember if you got knocked out in the first round if you make it to the Elite 8 or Final Four of the SEC championship.
I said it's just a personal opinion.
No, I know, and I'm not attacking you on it.
I got it. It just means
logically
a whole lot to me because it's been so long.
What about the regular season championship? Does anybody not care about? I mean, does anybody care about that anymore?
We've won a bunch of those. That's what's we've won at least 5 of those, and
that should be more important than a tournament. But
I know
it's today's basketball.
Agree.
I know. All right, let's get back on track here. Good question, Raj. So right now, by the way, Auburn leads with the ball 23-12 over Mississippi State. Right now, Kentucky and Auburn both set on the 2 line, Tennessee on the 3 line, and Arkansas on the 4 line. We've got one more weekend of basketball. This game, of course, will affect that in the SEC tournament. Put on your Karnak and do some reckless speculation. We're setting here Selection Sunday. Is the SEC going to have 4 of the top 12 seedings in the nation? Robbie Davis, you can go first.
Yes. So you're going to have the SEC winner, assuming it's Kentucky, assuming it's one of the top. I'm not sure Arkansas can jump there.
Unless they win the tournament.
I'm not even sure they can jump there. I think so. Tennessee's sitting at 10 at Ken Palm. Kentucky's at, I think, let me look up real quick. Kentucky's at 4, Auburn's at 7, Tennessee's 11. Assuming, let's say Tennessee's the largest shot, they go through Kentucky and Auburn. That's 2 more quality wins. The other teams are going to lose. So the winner of the SEC, I think, gets to a 1 seed. And then I think the 2 losers get to 2, 2, 3. Auburn sits there to 3, 4. Yeah, I think all 4 seeds are in the top 16 seeds of the SEC or the NCAA tournament.
16 or 12? Oh, 16?
So they'll all be the top 4 seeds.
Chain, you agree with Robbie's assessment, or do you think they go higher?
I don't think they get higher than that. I agree with the assessment, based on kind of the current record and the situation. I mean, we'll see what the tournament provides. Who knows? Like you said, there may be some teams that are not really all gung-ho about winning this SEC tournament and are happy to sit at home and rest a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see here. I definitely think they have 4 in the top 16 for sure.
Arkansas could fall out. I mean, they have some bad losses. They're playing LSU right now. I agree with Rob. Tennessee, I think, is going to kick the ever-living you-know-what out of them at home next week.
Yeah.
I don't see Arkansas being able to come anywhere close in terms of field goal percentage. So I could see them falling out. They lose, the next 2, and then
I agree with you. If they lose, well, they will lose in Knoxville. And then if they turn around and lose the first round of their first play-in game of the SEC tournament, they could drop.
And they're LSU right now at 16-15. Hofstra's not a bad team, but they lost to Hofstra. I could see them falling out just by virtue of having to play each other. But I agree with the top 3 teams. Whoever wins the SEC tournament is a 1, in my opinion, and that includes Tennessee. If they can beat all those guys on a neutral floor, that's showing me a lot. And I just wish they were more healthy, because as a fully healthy team by now with Barnes, I mean, I really think they could be deadly better than the Williams and Admiral Schofield team overall. The guard play is sensational.
This is the first time I remember in the Barnes era that this team is peaking at the right time. Usually they peak during January, February. This is the first time they're in the right trajectory.
Just who's hot, man. That's
like
right. Baseball. It's massive.
A little bit of magic.
Chandler, oh my! And any Vols fans watching, I told you to appreciate Kennedy Chandler. I hope you did. He is so gone after this year.
Well, and the Ziegler thing, it's terrible for his family, but I mean, that certainly is something that could bring a lot of people together. Not that Tennessee needed that, but there's just a lot of things going mojo-wise. Not that that's positive mojo, but that team is coming together. And obviously they had that kid's back. Their family's from New York, just the polar opposite. And we all love that kid. I mean, that's my favorite player on the team, because nobody expected him to do this, and he's plays much older than he is.
Should be a high school senior right now.
Unbelievable. And he acts like freaking John Stockton on the floor. But Tennessee's finally coming together right now. You're right. Usually they have peaked and somebody upsets them, but like Oregon State, everybody, you get hot now, game over. And this is the first year where I think actually they could be a Final Four team overall, deep, everything.
Let's get talk about the SEC. Let's move on to that.
I don't like saying that though.
I already called Elite 8. Rob,
New Orleans is waiting on us. New Orleans is waiting on us.
Robbie already said back-to-back champions in 2024.
Joe Lunardi has Auburn in his one line right now. I strongly disagree with that. I don't think Auburn is one line material right now.
So does
I think
Palm.
I would have Kentucky or Kansas over Auburn on the one line. I guess if I was forced today to seed them, not knowing how it ends up, I think Gonzaga. Is there any argument that Gonzaga is the number 1 overall seed if they win the WCC conference? Robbie?
Number 1 overall or just number 1 seed?
Number 1 overall seed.
I tend to like Baylor a little bit better than Gonzaga just on who they played, but I don't have any big issue with it. I mean, you're going to put either way, like if Gonzaga's 2 or 3, like the number 1s, you're still putting them out west. You're still putting Baylor down south. Like the number 1 overall seed's pretty irrelevant because it's just geographical and maybe a little bit of 16, 8, 9s who you play, but you should get to the Sweet 16 anyways. So it's more so regional. That's just it's more so a CBS marketing ploy who's number one overall.
And even them, if they're playing Tennessee and Spokane, I'd still think Tennessee draws more than tiny little Gonzaga.
Yeah,
People would fly across the country.
No, you're right.
So, and they did lose to St. Mary's, but St. Mary's is a damn good team.
They are.
Yeah, whoever wins the SEC tournament, I hate saying this, but I would put them as the number one overall.
I like Arizona.
Above the Big 12 or Big 10? Man, Wisconsin.
Well, Big 12,
Purdue, Wisconsin's really, really good.
Well,
and Purdue is.
Wisconsin's
solid.
on a
The
heater
Banks-
right now, too.
Yeah.
They just beat Purdue last night.
I just
that
don't
was a great game.
Yeah.
It was a
Those
lucky
dudes-
game, but it was a great game.
I'd rather lose than win on a bank 3.
We
I
haven't
don't
even mentioned.
Would you rather
Arizona.
lose to Nebraska like
No, I
Ohio
wouldn't
State
rather.
did last night?
2-16 in conference.
They're 9-21 or something right now. Oh my God! What
Big 12
debacle.
SEC winner, I think is the number one. I think the Big 10 year after year, style of play and whatnot. I mean, this year there's a lot of teams that can run, and you know I like Purdue with Ivy, but you know Wisconsin can play Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I'm just not
They get hot.
a huge Big 10 guy.
Rod, before we haven't brought them up, and I said it. This whole conversation about 1 seeds, we haven't heard the word Arizona yet. And I
I
still
said
think
it.
that resume is a 1 seed resume if anybody out west other than Gonzaga has a 1 seed.
Yeah, I like Arizona.
Yeah, they're loaded with talent, and it's a lot of the same guys as last year, but Sean Miller is Sean Miller. One guy that they got that is just a phenomenal player is the transfer from Georgia, Kier. Wow. I mean, that guy has really solidified them. They got Pell Larson from Utah. You know, they lost to Tennessee, but they're starting 5. You know, last night they shot 56%, I think, from 3 against USC. They just absolutely trucked them. When they're making shots, they're the best team in America. I know what that sounds like, but that's legit. I think they're the most talented starting 5 in the country. You know, how many losses do they have? 3. None of them are really bad per se. They did get beat by 16 at Colorado, but Colorado matches up. You know, starting 5-wise, I'd take them over anybody else in the country.
So, Raj, this morning on ESPN, one of the analysts said that Arizona, the starting 5 at Arizona would all play in the league at some point. Do you agree with that assessment?
Kriisa is up and down. A lot of Arizona fans aren't, you know, when he's hot, he's unconscious. He's Vescovi, but not as good. The other guys, I mean, Tubelis and Matherin. Yeah, Matherin's lottery pick. He's phenomenal. Koloko, he's a big body, and he has learned how to play. So he'd probably get in. Who am I missing as the starting 5? Dalen Terry? No, I don't see it. I'd say 3 out of 4 for sure. Maybe 4 out of 5.
All right, guys. Here we go. Go around the board. We'll start with Raj and work our way up to Robbie. Give me, when we're sitting here Selection Sunday, everything plays out. Give me your 4 that's on the 1 line, Raj.
Is Kentucky healthy?
Kentucky's healthy. We're playing in a
I'll go in a bubble, a vacuum. I'll go Kentucky, Arizona, Gonzaga, and whoever wins the Big 12. You know, probably Kansas. I mean, watch out for Texas Tech, man. That team's deadly. But those would be my 4. With apologies to the Big 10.
I agree. Kentucky healthy, Gonzaga, Baylor, and Arizona. Love Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Robbie Davis.
Gonzaga, Arizona, Baylor, and the Vols.
Oh, reckless speculation.
For the first time in decades, I don't think that is reckless speculate from Rob.
I will say this. That Arizona team that is so good, they were in a large arena and they were D'd up, and man, they looked lost. And that's what they're going to face in the tournament. So I'm interested to see if they learn from that, because the same reason it's hard for Tennessee to shoot in small arenas, it's hard for teams to shoot in big arenas. It's just different.
And they're not as deep. And UCLA killed them. We all remember that game.
Yeah.
When they're off, they are off. Colorado by 16, absolutely right.
I thought I was going to shock the world by giving you Texas Tech, but y'all kind of stole my thunder.
They're good.
A little
They're really
bit.
good.
I did.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a fan. I'm a fan.
Give me Gonzaga, Texas Tech, Arizona.
Wisconsin? I forgot about the Big Ten.
I get
Anybody?
a little worried there on number 4.
No,
Uh,
not.
Well,
I think the Big 12 may get 2 1 seeds. I think Baylor could win. If they got to the finals, I still think they could be a 1 seed. So
when's the last time 4 1s got into the tournament?
Well, so how
They got into the Final Four. Sorry, into the Final Four.
I'm gonna say
Never.
ever. Is that ever
how
happened?
predictable is this going to be, and how undeserving is this? And nothing against Coach K, nothing against Duke, but Duke sitting there at number 5 in Kim Palm doesn't play anybody, and they're probably gonna get a number 1 seed for they just don't not that they're bad, but they just have the ACC is so weak. And they're just sitting there, and they're probably going to get a 1 seed.
that's a good point, and I almost put Duke there. That's for that very reason. That leads us to another question. I'd like to follow up on that, Robbie. And we discussed this right now in Ken Palm. Duke is 5, as you said, and then I believe I'm looking at my palm here. I'm cheating a little bit. You go to Notre Dame at 48 before you find another
No,
ACC
Virginia
team?
Tech's at 28.
28.
Which is
You got Virginia
too
Tech.
high.
Virginia Tech at 28.
You got Wake Forest at
37.
37, North Carolina at 38.
38. Yeah.
Yeah. And
But-
then Notre Dame 40 something. That's probably
Still.
their bids there.
So they got 4 or 5 teams tops.
Yeah.
Is that the worst the ACC has been? And y'all are all around the mid 30s. I can tell you, since Coach K went to Duke, this is probably the lowest I've seen ACC seeding and getting ready for it. Are they the worst Power 5 conference? They're not. I don't think they're better in the SEC. I don't think they're better in the Big 10.
God,
Dang
no.
sure ain't better in the Big 12 or the Pac-12.
Yeah,
Are-
Pac-12 is top heavy, but
Are they better than the Mountain West Conference?
Not statistically. So what you're seeing, ACC, you tried to expand this footprint for football. Well, your football still sucks, and your basketball's suffering now too. So you put 1 foot in each puddle, and now you're doing the splits, and you're like, where the hell are we? Because you're not a football conference, you're not a basketball conference. To think that Duke's the only top 25 team in the ACC, and Carolina, Virginia, like New York, these cities that produce tons of athletes, Georgia Tech, like I don't know what to say. I can't imagine. UNC's been down some, Wake's been down some. Wake's got a hell of a coach with Steve Forbes. But to be 37, the ACC is just a weak conference right now. And Dukes are all one and done. And once Coach K, who knows what the programs looks like in the future.
5 teams in, dude, from like both guys, Palm and Lunardi. I found that surprising. I know
5?
it may be. I have it here somewhere. I believe so. 5 or 4.
Well, there's 36. There's 36
5
at-large teams.
Miami, Duke, North Carolina, Notre Dame, and
forgot about
Wake,
Miami.
and Wake.
Yeah.
And Miami's got some good non-conference, but a lot of those teams have wins against each other. And then there's like Notre Dame lost to a horrible Boston College team. North Carolina lost to a terrible Pitt team. It's kind of like what I say about, any conference. I just use the SEC to piss you guys off. But how do we know this whole conference is an ass and all their good wins are against each other? 5 teams getting in, dude, I was shocked too. But that's what both of them have.
Yeah, that's inflation. I mean, like you said, I mean, they're beating each other up in a bad conference. It shows, not good for anyone. We're
I
gonna
mean,
see come tournament time. I don't see Duke making it
so
maybe 2 rounds top.
So just real quick for comparison, the Big 12, their top 5 are number 2, number 9, number 10, and number 15. The ACC is number 5, number 28, number 37, number 38. And you're saying like that one league is so much better than the other.
No, I agree.
At the same time, Robbie, let's look at a couple of the mid majors. The West Coast is number 1, number 17, and number 23. The Mountain Valley Conference, 22, 27, 31, 32. I mean, the depth of the mid majors is greater than the ACC at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I listened to a Wake Forest podcast because Steve Forbes, the former Tennessee assistant, and I got to know Coach Forbes just a little bit. So I root for him. But the one point he made in one of his podcasts was there's no one to beat in the ACC that helps your numbers, because outside of a Duke, everything's a quad 2 victory. So how do you move up? I mean, if you're one of those mid Wake Forest teams, where's the victory at to move up, Robbie? It's not in the conference.
Well, this is exactly what happened in the SEC about 7 or 8 years ago. And Sankey brought in a advisor from the old Big East, and he said, how do we make basketball better? And they brought in more recruiting advisors. They built better stadiums. They had more game day experience. You invest money in it. That's how you do it. But the ACC's always had this money. What they've done is they've just gotten lazy and assumed that because we've always been good, we're going to be good in the future. And now you're falling behind. And once you fall behind, it's very hard to catch up because you got the Big Ten, the SEC that are just printing money. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Like, those are money printers. The Pac-12, you got the resources. You got you got Arizona. You got UCLA. You've got the schools. You got USC's got money. Like
Oregon's
got more money than you know to do with. Like, those are powerhouses. And then you got the Big 12, which is just kind of Texas. They're the Texas area, Kansas. It's a struggle. You can't rely on just history anymore.
Yeah, it's not the 90s.
No.
Hey, let me ask you this real quick, all the three of you. I know Rob especially loves Ken Pom. I'm going to give you a resume because this is one thing I don't understand. This team has wins against Texas Tech, UConn, Wisconsin, who is 24 in Ken Pom, by the way. No problem there. Seton Hall, Xavier, Marquette, and at Villanova. That kind of gives it away. Their losses are, they have 3 of them, to Texas, San Diego State, and San Francisco, all in the top 25 Ken Pom. Providence is the Big East champ. I should have let you guys guess. They are number 34 in Ken Pom. I'm like, what? Like, I don't want to run into that team. The Big East was where I was going with this. Top of the Big East is damn good. How the hell are they number 34? I just listed those wins. I mean, neutral site.
I will chip
Road
in
record.
Providence, and also I will say you don't want to see Marquette on the 6 or 7 line if you're a 2 seed in that second day. I think some of it is press. I think some of it is. I know I do like Palm. I'm with Robbie on that. The Big East, I just don't know.
I don't get it. That's all I'm saying. I
think
get it.
a
That's
bad
really
Georgetown
low.
team hurts the Big East too, who is horrible. Some of the traditional powers in the Big East have gone, or they're not very good. But I agree with you. And I would give you the opposite of Houston. Where is Houston's quality wins? I mean, I really challenge you to go find quality wins in that Houston schedule. They lost to Memphis. They've lost to SMU.
Wait.
I mean, Houston being in the sixth seed or sixth spot, I challenge you all day to give me Houston's resume that deserves to be on the sixth overall seed in the country. I just don't see it.
That's crazy.
I mixed up Providence, by the way. Their losses, because they just lost to Villanova. No, wait a minute. They won, didn't they?
No,
they lost. Yeah, they lost by 2. They've also lost to at Marquette and then Virginia. That's their only losses. Wait a minute.
Yeah, what's Villanova? Villanova's 12. Villanova can win it all
twice.
Again.
I just number 34 is crazy to me.
Robbie, do you have that Houston schedule pulled up?
I can pull it up real quick. So they've got so they lost to Alabama, they lost to SMU, they lost to Memphis, they lost to Wisconsin. Their biggest wins are
Virginia
against number 40 Oklahoma State, and then against number 58 SMU.
Oh, get it, guys.
When they play,
they beat Virginia. Virginia's 75th in Ken Palm. So
they beat Oregon when Oregon was tanking and had injuries.
Yeah, Oregon was 67th.
Yeah. I mean, that's now. We have to take into account, how good the team was playing when you faced them. But, yeah, there's it's kind of reputation. A couple of the players that are holdovers. They're obviously a tough team with a great coach. But, yeah, I don't see sometimes if you have no bad losses, it's more important than good wins. And I think Houston is representative of that.
I'd rather.
Well said.
There is no other team, if they end up on the 3 line or the 2 line, I want to see in the Sweet 16 than to look across and I'm a Vols fan and see Tennessee and Houston in the Sweet 16 if they get there. I just think it's a really undeserving team. And I personally, I am a big believer too. And I don't think the Big Ten, let's go there. The Big Ten is very top heavy. Brendan, we had a little discussion before we come on the air. And there's 3 teams down there at the bottom, Michigan, Rutgers, and Indiana, that appears all of them are going to get into the tournament. Yeah. But I think Michigan's 16 and 12 now. Are these tournament teams?
It's hard to say. I mean, Michigan right now, they just had their coach suspended. They're actually playing a little bit better, in my opinion, than with Jawan as of late. But we'll see. They still got a tough schedule. They got Iowa, and then they play us, 2 top 25 teams. They're going to be on the bubble. They're probably going to get in, no problem.
Rutgers, what about them? Because if you look at their losses, all their good wins are in conference. They have some of the worst losses I've ever seen of a team that's supposedly going to get in.
Yeah. Well,
I don't even know it's a debate if Rutgers gets in at this point. That's what I don't understand.
No, well, they just beat Indiana tonight, so
they're saying they're getting in. Both of them have them in, but losses to DePaul, horrible UMass team who Matt McCall, former Chattanooga coach, just had a rough go of it in a bad school right now in terms of program. Lafayette, Penn State, Minnesota, Maryland, and Northwestern. Those are their losses.
Yeah. At the end of the day, guys, we can't forget that this is a business as well. And, you see a lot of these teams, like you said, Houston, for no reason up there, just riding name recognition or conference recognition, being, big eyes on tournaments, can sell tickets, whatever. So that's what's fun about the tournament, right? You get some of these schools in that are smaller or whatever. No one gave them a chance and, make deep runs. So
Indiana's a weird one to me, but they have a couple of very good wins.
They're
against Ohio State and Purdue.
Yeah. That's going to be my question to you, Raj. Indiana I've never seen a losing record in conference without 20 wins beside it qualify for the tournament. You're talking about a team that is 9-10 in the Big Ten. 17-12 overall. To me, that is not a conference resume.
They're
You
the
give me
Hoosiers,
500 in the
baby.
Big Ten, you give me 500 in the Big Ten, 20 wins. I'm going to justify it all day long.
This
Not
is where
17 and 12.
politics, total
Exactly.
example of politics. It's Indiana. You know, they have a superstar in Trace Jackson Davis. But yeah, another thing, totally insular wins. This was a team that if they get in, I don't see them getting past the first round. But I agree entirely. I don't see it there. Again, what is it? Those guys have 9 teams from the Big Ten getting in.
9 teams.
That's whoa.
That
Sometimes
is
it feels like
25% of the bid at large bids, or 20% at large bids.
Does it ever feel like, you know, sometimes it's really hard to get one of those bids, and other times they're just like anybody with a winning record in conference is getting in? It feels weird this year.
There's really only 5 out of the 9 that are probably worthier that can actually do something in this tournament. So
that's a lot.
Robbie Davis, you had something follow up?
Yeah, well, I like the Indiana conversation. I don't get the idea of putting in a blue blood, if you will, in the 7-10 game, because the chance of them winning anyways is nothing. I'm sorry. Who the hell doesn't watch the first 2 rounds of March Madness? It's like it's like saying, "Oh, we can't put a small market in the Super Bowl." Man, people are watching regardless. Put a team in, let people fall in love with them. Like, as much as I personally hate Loyola Chicago, and Sister Jean, I dislike, and she's a sweetheart. I'm sure she is. I just don't like her because of what happened to Tennessee. But if that was Indiana as a 12 seed versus what happened to Loyola Chicago, it's a whole different story. So
you don't like 100-year-old nun?
I don't. No, I don't. Yeah,
that's so SEC.
No,
F that nun, dude.
Sorry.
She cursed us.
Sister Jean, just not a fan.
No, you ran into the Beavers last year. That's the problem.
I know. Yeah,
I was at that game. Wow, that was
hey.
That was a tough one.
The point being, like, don't put a blue, like, there's no sense in me, like, oh, we need television rate. No, you don't. There's no lack of television ratings in the first. It's the tournament.
No, you're exactly right. But, you know, big markets, I'm sure there's, you know, deals they get or whatever. So I mean, that's why you see that it's always politics. I don't care what you do.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely politics. Well, I mean, the NCAA headquarters just happens to be in where? Indianapolis. That's why Indiana gets a unfair, or just a better.
They're the Hoosiers, baby.
So what about Iowa, dude? Iowa's a weird one too.
Yeah, they're sketchy.
What have they done?
One of my favorite basketball conferences,
about to beat Michigan,
is the Atlantic 10. You right now, the second round, you're looking at Davidson in, who deserves to be in. VCU deserves to be in. Lenardi has the 8th team out as Dayton. 21-9, 13-4 in conference. I take Dayton all day over Indiana or Rutgers. Is it just my? I'd rather watch Dayton to Indiana. I don't know, but to
wins
me,
I feel like Virginia Tech
could make noise in the tournament.
Yes.
Raj, go ahead.
They beat Virginia Tech, Kansas, and Miami. The first 4 games in Dayton. That's another political game. Like, sometimes Dayton is better than that playing game, and they'll just throw them in there because they know they're going to sell out. Dayton does have one bad loss. They lost to an awful LaSalle team. They may have more. That's a quad 4 loss. But I agree. Dayton, to me, I mean, you beat Kansas, Miami, Virginia Tech, and then you're supposedly like on the bubble with some of these ACC teams. I mean, you just beat them on a neutral floor. Extremely well coached.
Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't want to run into Dayton, anybody that's well coached, really, but they are one of those programs, proverbially like right there.
Before we leave the Big Ten, Robbie, who in the Big Ten, and then I'll come Robbie, Brendan, Raj, Give me the team in the Big Ten that could make the noise that we're sitting here in the second week talking about still.
Man, I tweeted about this last night. Even though Purdue lost, somehow Purdue's going to end up in Tennessee's bracket. And
Every year,
and that's going to be the downfall. Purdue, to me, they've got the height, they've got the guard play, they're well coached. They're one of the top 2 teams in the country. I'm terrified of them. They match up well against almost everybody. They lost last night to Wisconsin, but that's at Cole. That's a hard place to win. There's venues.
It was a bank 3, dude.
Yeah.
Bank
2 bank 3s. It was a bank 3 to tie, and then a bank 3 to win.
That ain't right.
Yeah. So that was a gift win to Wisconsin, but all props to them. But yeah, Purdue scares me in the Big Ten.
40-28, Auburn leads Mississippi State. I agree with you. I like Illinois and Purdue.
Illinois is my team
over Wisconsin. Brendan, if you were going to pick one of the 3, which one do you go with? And you already know you're going to hear Illinois behind you 2 times.
Yeah. Well, you guys stole my thunder a little bit. Even though we beat Illinois in Illinois, the Ohio State, Ohio State's not going to be in the conversation. We're too inconsistent. We might win 1 or 2 games in the tournament. I like Purdue as well, to Robbie's point. I mean, they can match up with anybody in the country, especially Gonzaga. I think they're probably the closest matchup with Gonzaga, in my opinion. But Illinois, man, don't count those guys out. They're good. They're good. They're peaking at the right time as well.
Alfonso Plummer, Utah transfer.
Man,
big bucket getter.
That's just a weird school that consistently is pretty good at basketball.
They who
goes to Champaign, Illinois? Who does that?
They were Final Four last year or Elite 8. No, at least they made Elite 8. I can't remember if they made it to Final Four last year or not, but Illinois. Like I said, you guys stole my thunder. Wisconsin, they're a good team. They're
24 in Ken Palm.
They're probably number 3 team in the Big Ten. I would say Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin. I guess Ohio State after that.
Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Thinking about the Big Ten, and this is a hypothetical for everybody. If you were to match up the first team of every conference, who would be the best first team? Because looking at the Big Ten, I do think 9 teams is a lot, but Ivy, Liddell, Johnny Davis, Cockburn, Hunter Dickinson, Ron Harper Jr., Tracy Jackson Davis. I mean, those guys are loaded, but that's another question. Yeah. Who would you put on the first team, all SEC? I mean, I can do the Pac-12 in my head, and would that team beat the Big Ten team, Just curiosity. Who would be on the all SEC first team right now? No Google. Who would you put?
Jabari Smith, Tshiebwe, probably Walker Kessler. In the backcourt, I would struggle a little bit, but I do think you got to put one of the Alabama kids on it, and probably Kennedy Chandler, who I don't think is the best guard at Tennessee, but the hype would bring it to me.
Right.
I'm a Zakai Ziegler fan. I'm going to tell you, he makes the team run when he's in there.
Ziegler's great, but don't be silly.
Chandler's a stud, dude.
He is
a freak.
And he's going to be a great NBA player. I just think with the balls in Ziegler's hand, it's a little more high-paced, a little more – let me put it this way.
He makes better decisions, I think.
I like Kennedy Chandler at the 2 guard and Zakai at the 1 guard.
He's more of a LeBron, not a Jordan.
I just think Kennedy Chandler, when we screen for him, we clear shots for him, is a more effective player. But the sad thing is he's probably the best at getting to the rim on the team too. So, yeah, he's all everything. But I don't know. I think the front line's pretty clear with Jabari Smith and Tshiebwe and Walker Kessler. And people don't see how many shots Walker Kessler's broke.
You got the guy
blocked.
from Arkansas. What's his name?
Note, JD
Note.
Note, Scottie
Yeah.
Pippen Jr.
Yeah, there's a lot of good
Shackelford
players.
is that dude from Alabama.
The guy from
yes.
Florida, Castleman.
Castleton. I'd still take a big that. I mean, that's a damn good team though.
Big Ten.
I would.
Let me tell you,
Tie.
it's a halfway joke, but it is some truth in it. The problem with the Big Ten is they have too many 6'8" white guys that want to shoot 3 pointers. And I mean, it's the stereotypical Wisconsin to me, Frank Zaleski player, you know? And I don't know.
Why does race matter, Randall? We're going to leave that alone.
Not really. But I didn't say it was
Hey, yeah. I don't want to go up in the cold either. I'm not playing in 20-degree weather when I'm playing. Hey, it was 76 today.
Well, Wisconsin and Minnesota are the king of 6'8" white guys.
So if I give you Chandler, Shackelford, Kessler, Tshiebwe, and Jabari Smith, how does that match up with, let's go with the Pac-12 real fast?
They would beat the Pac-12. The Pac-12's got a lot of scores, but yeah, that front line is going to murder most people. Pac-12 would be Matherin, either Jaquez or Tiger Campbell or Juzang from UCLA. With USC, I would go with Drew Peterson, who's just an all-everything guy over Mobley.
Hold on.
Yeah, we get killed.
I think I've got to change my team. I think I got to put Scottie Pippen Jr. on my team somewhere.
Yeah, I mentioned him. That guy leads the SEC in scoring, right? Not that that's that big of a deal.
Hey, I think Vescovi or Vescovi, whatever you want to say, it's one of the best players in the SEC.
He can be. He can also be ass, but sorry.
I'm having JJJ as my sixth man on the team. I know that. All right, guys, a real good conversation, but I want to move on. We got about 20 more minutes before we wrap it up. And I do want to promote Roy Pankey, who's coming on. We also have a second guest coming on. Join me. My now co-worker at my job is a former Rivals podcaster, AJ Cook, a recent Tennessee graduate, covered the balls over the last 5 years. Will be here to talk Tennessee basketball prior to the announcement of the tournament. AJ's been someone that's been in the arena, been around the program a ton lately. We have a chance to really pick his brain a little bit.
If I can, I will try to get my mother on the show.
She was my third announcement.
I promise you she will break down SEC basketball better than anyone. All she does is sit there and watch. She flips from Fox News to the SEC Network, and she watches more SEC basketball than anybody I know.
Well, she's no spirit animal.
Isn't that the same channel?
Mississippi State's on a little run here. Lead was up to 17 at halftime. It's down to 10, just underway, 42-32.
Oh, that was backing over. But anyways.
All right. So, yeah, we'll have several guests. And, Robbie, I was going to say your mother, too. Roy asked me to announce that his team, anyone wanting to play for the Tennessee Force, please go to Facebook to the Tennessee Force page and send your inquiry letter to Roy. He is putting together his girls team, which is phenomenal, and his boys team. The girls, the Tennessee Elite, the boys, the Tennessee Force. Please go. High school players, local high school players, you have to have some experience at this level. Please send your resume to Roy. Let's move over to Big 12. Now, Chappie last year was our Big 12 expert, and we talked a lot about it. And I think he may have been a year early. Every team in the Big 12 is in the top 75. Every team.
Gosh.
Is the Big 12 clearly the best basketball conference right now? And is the top end of the Big 12 better than the top end of the SEC? Robbie, we'll start there.
Oh, yeah. The Big 12 is stacked. I mean, the top 4 are in the top 15 of Ken Palm. Like Texas Tech, Texas, those teams are legit Final Four contenders. They're 15-10. Kansas is
TCU,
not.
man,
Yeah, TCU,
huge
Kansas
wins.
is number 9. Baylor, they're all great. Like you could conceivably, depending on the matchups, see 2 to 3 Big 12 teams in the Final Four. They're that good. This is the stacked league this year. As good as SEC is, it doesn't compare to the Big 12. Not this year.
The one
Kansas
team up
State,
top
14
that
and
we haven't
15.
talked about a lot is Kansas. I'm not sold on this Kansas team. Are you?
They've got talent. They always got talent, and Bill Self can coach. They also benefit from a huge home crowd, and so that's the home crowd is the sticking point in college basketball. Look how teams did away from home, and that's what worries me about Tennessee. That's what worries me about someone like Kansas. Like, where have they won on the road or neutral sites? Because that's what
Obaji, though. They have one of the best scorers in the country in Obaji.
Yeah.
When they're healthy, watch out. One interesting note. Well, number one, I love the fact that USC beat them by 30 last year in the round of 32, but Kansas had a lot of injuries. Remy Martin, who was an all first team guy at Arizona State, goes to Kansas, and he's had some injuries, but the dude barely plays now. It's kind of frightening. Joseph Yusefu, who was all whatever league Drake is in, I can't remember, last year first team, another guy that gets bench minutes there. When they're on, Wilson, McCormick, they're pretty darn good. But for me, I call it the Zerbiak effect, or Adam Morrison, even though he cried at the end, just elite scorers are huge in the tournament, and they've got one. But I agree. Another team I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. I mean, if they go Texas Tech or Kansas to go further, if somebody asked me, I'd say Texas Tech, even though they can't really shoot.
Brendan, yeah, I agree with you. Texas Tech and Tennessee sometimes look a lot alike. Brendan, even with the Big Ten's 9 bids, there's no way the Big Ten can compete in the middle to the bottom end of the conference with the Big 12, are they?
No, I totally agree. I mean, watch out for UCLA too. I mean, they had a big win, I guess, mid-January, late January over Arizona. I think that was, what was that score? 75-59. I know it was at UCLA, but, a big signature win for them. I look for them to kind of go deep in this tournament as well.
4 legit scorers, plus Peyton Watson, who many think is a lottery pick, who doesn't play that much at UCLA right now because of Tiger Campbell, but a team that can shoot lights out.
When they get hot, man, watch out.
When they get hot, they have the 4 best overall shooters, I think, together in the country.
Yeah, collectively.
But and if Watson turns it on like he played last game, watch out.
Well, before we get off the Big 12, give me your 2 teams that'll be a storyline the second day. I'm going to give you Texas Tech and Baylor, and I ain't reaching out on a big limb there. But to me, those are the 2 tournament-ready teams. To Raj's point, Texas Tech's got to shoot better, but God, they play defense. So I'll take Texas Tech and Baylor. Robbie, where's your headline?
Yeah, so Baylor's going to advance because they should advance. I like Texas Tech and Texas to both make the Sweet 16 and both challenge for an Elite 8. They're both really good. And it's the same coaching staff on both teams that both half court shut off the other side defense. That makes it really, really tough to play offense against. So Chris Beard and then the Texas Tech new coach is escaping me, but the disciple from Beard. So I like both of those teams to make a deep run.
Texas is coming together, and their talent level, we all know, is probably top 3 or 4 in the country based on their transfers. I totally agree. Watch out for those 2 teams. I absolutely agree.
Brendan, who you got?
Yeah, I like Baylor and again, UCLA. UCLA, I think, can make kind of a big splash here in the tournament. So
Baylor had a pivotal injury though. If what's his name is healthy, I would put them really high. But that is a tough guy. I'm not even pronounce his name, but JTT.
Yeah.
Just kind of like Kuminga, just freak athletically. Maybe doesn't show up in the box score, but changes every shot. That's a tough guy to lose. Another guy there, James Akinjo, who was Arizona's leading scorer last year, who transferred from Rutgers or somewhere. He's not a guy that makes other people better. So I'm not as high on Baylor as many, just mainly because of JTT. But as we said, Texas Tech, TCU is a team to watch out for. Not Iowa State, but yeah, Kansas as well.
All right. While we got you on, Robbie, did you give your picks on the Big 12?
I did.
You did. Okay. Raj.
But I got more to say.
Well,
No,
always. Raj, before we jump off, and we're going to finish up with the Pac-12, and then we're going to talk about some mid-majors and get out of here. Give us a little thumbnail. We've talked about the Big 12 or Pac-12. Is it Arizona and the rest, or is there somebody else that can make noise out there? Brandon keeps referencing UCLA. Do we have someone else that we could – and you see Southern Cal. Is there somebody that we don't know about that's a better team than we think?
I mean, when Oregon plays Oregon basketball, another team that's kind of like Texas, a lot of transfers that come together, they can beat anybody in the country, led by Jacob Young. But some of their losses are really bad. Same with Colorado. When I look at teams that we're not sure how great they are, I look at talent. And, USC has got some of the best NBA players that has nothing to do with right now. But, there's multiple guys that I believe are going to play next level. They couldn't make anything against Arizona. But, they have the talent and the experience to go far, but they could also lose in the first round. But no, I really think it's those top three teams because unless Oregon or Colorado wins the conference tournament, kind of like Oregon State did last year, what were they, like 500 in conference?
right.
Maybe even Washington State, who leads the conference in three-point shooting. It's just going to be those three teams, and I hate to say it, but probably just UCLA and Arizona, and maybe just Arizona. It's not a great year for the conference. Top heavy, yes, but not a very good year.
Mississippi State cuts it to 6, then gets a flagrant 1. Auburn shoots 3, makes one of the two, or shoots 2, makes one of the two. Back up 7 with the basketball with 14 minutes to go. Mississippi State with a little run, playing physical in the second half.
Flagrant.
Robbie, Pac-12 real quick. You got you stole my thunder. I was going to talk about Oregon, but Robbie, what's your take real fast? And then we're going to go to the mid-majors.
Oh, I hate them.
Well, I'm going to try to combine those two topics. I'm not sure you can talk about the Pac-12 without talking about the West Coast Conference and the Mountain West, because
absolutely,
let's be honest,
That's
in
bias.
basketball, they're kind of blended together. And this sucks for sports fans, and it especially sucks for the West Coast people, but the product's just not great right now. But you have Arizona at 3, UCLA at 8, Gonzaga's at 1. Then the next you have St. Mary's at 17, San Francisco at 23. That's the next best West Coast team you've got. We got San Diego State at 22, Boise State at 27, Colorado State at 31. It's just now the Pac-12, the West Coast is the blunder of schools. The conference isn't really strong right now, which is a shame. Hopefully USC gets it back together. I thought Anfield would do a better job than he's done. He's recruited, but he just hasn't turned onto the court success yet.
They've
Oregon
come together late, Elite Eight last year. But
Oregon has
they
had
also
some
had a
runs.
unicorn.
Oregon's always going to have the money, and they'll be here and there. Washington went to the Syracuse assistant with a 2-3 zone, which
Hopkins.
I love the 2-3 zone, but basketball has changed, and now it maybe doesn't make sense. Now everyone's shooting threes, so Boeheim hasn't been successful in Syracuse, and the Washington coach has not been that successful here lately at Washington. So
Except for Wyoming too.
In a nutshell, I got Zonum and UCLA. I think USC, if they get in, they can do damage like they did last year, but they got to get in.
They're in. I mean, most people call them a lock. They've been on the 6 line, but yeah, they're a team that I've no problems admitting they could lose in the first round, or because they can D up, although not from 3. They could make another Elite 8 run. Last year they were 6, and they had one bad game, kind of like last night against Gonzaga, but they were beating the crap out of everybody. Again, last year, though, they had a unicorn who is going to be the rookie of the year in the NBA, in my opinion, Evan Mobley. But, yeah, I hate to say it. There is a West Coast bias, in my opinion, but it's not entirely off base. Last night was one of the first sellouts at USC. The game started at 11 p.m. I mean, just ridiculous.
I stayed up to watch it. I had money on it, though.
Too, I know, and I would have told you don't bet on USC. But we don't do ourselves any favors. And, Gonzaga for many years was Snow White and no dwarves. So, yeah, you kind of took the top 3 or 4 or 5 teams from those 3 conferences on the West Coast and just put them together. So I don't disagree with you. But if there's a surprise team, I'd watch out for one of those Mountain West teams. St. Mary's we saw. I'm not a big Santa Clara guy or San Francisco, despite playing pretty well. But yeah, Mountain West teams, they can grind it out. State, Wyoming, Colorado State, Boise State. They're really usually a tough first round matchup. Believe it or not, I know it's ironic, but they will punch you in the mouth, those dudes from that conference. So that's the conference to watch out for, in my opinion.
Any parallel between the Pac-12 being slightly off in the recruiting base now and I'm not talking about UCLA or USC. I'm talking about the Cows of the world. Are kids preferring to go play at a high mid-major like St. Mary's or go play at a very bad Pac-12 team like Cal? I perceive in the world out west right now there is some movement to this mid-major level. Am I wrong, or is this something you feel?
They're ideal to transfer to, but Southern California has long been in the number 1 area in the world for college basketball talent. Overall, Florida's nowadays you have all these transfers and stuff to IMG and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, half the time their best players there go to Duke. They go to Tennessee, they go other places. Part of it's for environments and atmospheres. But yeah, I mean, look at transfers. Again, SC was big on Andrew Nemhard from Florida. Back in the day, who would choose Gonzaga over any Pac-12 school? But these guys transfer in, they play with great players, and they don't get a lot of 5-stars straight out the box, but they sure as heck become a destination for kids that have experience in transfer. But yeah, I mean, a lot of guys aren't staying home. It's a bummer for us, but the rest of the country's pretty happy.
Well, in the last 10 minutes, I want to look at a couple of things. By the way, if I'm distracted, Mississippi State's been on a run here, has cut the game to 4. Auburn 49, Mississippi State 45, 10:43 to go. Auburn shoots a 3, no good. Mississippi with a chance to turn this into a 1-possession game. The Bulldogs from Mississippi State.
Wait, can I just say something real quick, Randall?
Yes.
When you talk about recruiting, and I want to be clear that what happened at Tennessee this week was a great thing. Ziegler's family got money to replace a home that was damaged. We talked about earlier. That's a fantastic thing, and that's very much what the theory of this rule should be. But so let me set that aside and go to the potential bad side. Tennessee Tennessee put out a headline. This all happened last night. Tennessee put out a headline. Please wait. Like there's a student in need. Please wait to donate because we're going to go through NCAA compliance to make sure this is okay. To make sure he doesn't lose the eligibility, which is great. They did that, and then through NCAA compliance, a GoFundMe was created for his house burning down, which is great. On the flip side, though, now what has been set is a GoFundMe can be created for whatever.
NLI.
Yeah, and so now
What's your house?
That's going to be recruiting now. Hey, GoFund. And this is not Ziegler's fault. And this maybe I'm just taking it down a dark path, but this is what the future's going to happen. Like,
It's a slippery slope for sure.
Yes. And then this is the filth we all were uncomfortable with. That we see coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, well, there's no rules with the NLI right now,
Yeah.
right? So now this is just another loophole within that entire ordeal that now you can actually have college, students or fans or whatever start to donate to these players and recruit them to your school. So again, I mean, we're treading on paper here because there are no rules. It's just, NLI, you can file pretty much anything under the NLI rule as of right now. And they've got to set some standards and some ground rules here because this is getting out of hand quickly. Like, to your point, this was a great thing. And this shouldn't even be a factor with NCAA. Yeah. Like, if something like this happens to an athlete or a student, for that matter, like, there should be no question that you could donate money to help that family. But again, being an athlete, you've got to kind of walk through the red tape on that. But it's going to get out of hand.
It's one of those. It's a great thing, and it can go so bad so fast.
He's from Queens, right?
Tshiebwe until last week was prevented as an out of country student from accepting NIL money. It was just in the last week that he was able to get some NIL money to move his mom from Africa, and I don't care. I don't care what the rule is. I don't care where he plays at. This kid being able to move his mom into the country is the right move.
Mm-hmm. We're all I think 100%. Everyone's all for them getting paid.
We just got to find the right rules.
But what does that say about federal immigration laws? We don't want to go down that path, but unless your kid plays ball, you know what I mean? Like,
you're exactly right.
And that
it changes everything.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Federal immigration laws trump state, as Rob will tell you. But yeah, absolutely. What about the millions of refugees and We're not going down that path.
I know. We can have a whole segment on that.
Is any of them 6'9" and can rebound? Because we got a couple openings.
No, but they may have saved like 1,000 school kids by
let them in. All right, before I want to get off.
I agree. Blame Trump.
Subject, we got to go local one time. Local, right now in the RPI rating, the number 11 conference is the Southern Conference. On top of the Southern Conference sits our Chattanooga Mocs, where I graduated from. I'm a big believer that the Southern Conference are to get 2 bids this year. They will not. But we're on a slippery slope when you're at a mid-major, and this is what I want to talk about. UTC, by the way, lead down to 2. Mississippi State shooting free throws to tie the game. These schools like Chattanooga and Furman, who are both had great years, if they lose, one of them's going to lose in the tournament and probably be shipped off to play some superpower SEC team that doesn't make the tournament. So you'll get Furman at Florida or something like that as a consolation in NIT. Is it the true definition of UTC's tournament starts tomorrow in the Southern Conference because it's lose and go home? Rod, you've been vocal about this. small school conference, one bid only.
Yeah, I mean, with Chattanooga, the difference though this year is they have next level talent for the first time in a long time. With Malachi Smith, Jean Baptiste, and of course Silvio De Souza, who was a 5-star that went to Kansas and came from Angola and basically did not handle what the limelight was in the Midwest, which I can't blame him for what he went through. UTC, everybody's penciling them in. They've had bad losses lately at home to VMI and UNC Greensboro, who they should not lose to. But they didn't have a bunch of guys, including De Souza, who's a 6'9", 250 brawler. So basically, to answer your question, I do think it's a one-bid league this year. If there were going to be two, it's not that they have the resume, but, I firmly believe, even though the committee won't admit it, when you have next-level talent, people want to see it. And Malachi Smith, John Baptiste, who's seems like he's been there 20 years. And again, De Souza, even the other dudes, their transfers, I can't think of their names.
Yes.
And
they
have
solid, 2 transfers that left the programs that are doing quite well up the scale too. So they are.
And McCall, Will Wade, even though we don't know how he's employed. I mean, the program has become, I'm not going to say like a Gonzaga, but I mean, who would have thought De Souza, a 5-star, would transfer in to UTC? It's becoming a stepping stone program, which is awesome. So I'd love to see them win the tournament, but it's also not easy. They take everybody's best shot, and Asheville is a weird place to play basketball, in my opinion. So I think it's a one-bid team. If there were to be two, it's only if somebody else won and Chattanooga got in.
Robbie Davis, have you ever been down to the UTC arena to watch the Mocs play? Because it's a 4,500. I mean, there's 4,000. There's the same 4,500 people there every week. I go a couple of times a year, $10. You can sit down courtside. It's a fun college basketball. It's not Knoxville.
It's steep, but if it's sold out every game, man, that place would be awesome.
I have been there for a concert. I've not been there for a basketball game. And you know what?
Even my kid's been 5 times.
I have all the statistics for the Socon conference, and I want to make an argument why multiple teams should get in. And you know what? They should. But at the same time, I was sitting here thinking, what are we doing here? We're arguing that the best sporting event should be changed. Let whoever you want into it. But you know what? It's still the tournament. It's still awesome. And it's not NFL playoff level, but it's the next best thing. And it's going to be glorious. Yes, I'd like to see Furman get in. You got UNC Greensboro 62, VMI 68. There's a lot of teams that they're more credible than Syracuse getting in at their 7-9 ACC record. But you're gonna have big names. But you know what? We're all gonna watch in March. And it's all gonna be glorious.
Chattanooga's been as high as a 12 seed. When have you seen that from the SoCon winner before even the tournament?
Their
country is aware.
If
the country is aware
available
of what they can do. De Souza, he's the difference maker. He is the difference maker. They don't lose either of those games at home, in my opinion, if he's healthy.
This is the greatest thing about the tournament is you get these teams occasionally that come in that, they get a little bit of local media relevance or whatever, and they can step into a tournament and actually make some noise. So it's pretty cool to see. I'm anxious to see if UTC gets in there, and that would be awesome. I'll definitely be buying some Mocs gear if that happens.
Y'all can yell at me next 2 weeks from now when we're talking about Davison in the Sweet 16 and said Randall said it first. So I'm going to go ahead and step out.
And
is that your reckless speculation?
Yeah, that's definitely reckless speculation.
Well, so if
Furman's got a lot of seniors, to me that's huge.
If it was me, let Grand Canyon University come in. I don't know if you guys have seen a game they've been involved in. That fan base is insane.
They sell out. They get big transfers.
Yeah, it's like I think it's an online university. We saw them in Phoenix.
They have a campus now.
Tennessee beat Gonzaga. It was 2 versus 1 or 3 versus 1. We beat Gonzaga, and then Grand Canyon came in, and it was a damn club atmosphere.
Thunder Dan Marley, dude, he was the coach for a while. I don't think he is anymore.
Let me give you an upset alert. With less than a minute to play, Creighton leaves UConn at 60-55.
I saw that.
That
Also,
could make but now it's Bryce Drew as their coach, dude. It's a destination program. Isn't
LSU,
Creighton
LSU
borderline?
42-39 over Arkansas.
And
What a
bigger
beautiful
news,
game.
Mississippi State down from 17 down, now leads Auburn 52-49. If Auburn loses that game, we're going to have a 3-way tie of some kind in the SEC regular season championship. We'll figure that out next week.
Creighton beat Villanova by 20. They're 19-9. If they win this game, Villanova was missing. I think Gillespie was out that game. They beat Marquette. Then they lost by 40 almost to Villanova. That's another bubble team right now. This would be a sweep of UConn. Marquette again twice.
So Randall, hypothetically, if Tennessee is in the Final Four in New Orleans, you're paying for our press passes down there, right? We're all going on the plane with you. How are we getting there?
I'm probably hitchhiking, but y'all are welcome to come along with me. I will buy the Waffle House.
I think there's a train that goes straight into New Orleans.
Listen, I got a 12-year-old daughter who's just got a brand new collection of albums that's for sale if Tennessee gets to the Final Four, because it's the only thing I have of worth.
Hey, real quick,
there'll be a Peyton Manning helmet on eBay the next day.
52-49 Mississippi State Auburn.
Yes.
I'm sorry, dude. There's a lot of people say it's a defense. There's just people that can't score in the conference. Maybe it's because, again, huge rivals and blah, blah, blah. But I see way too many of these games. 42-41 LSU and Arkansas with like 10 minutes left. That's
Jabari
not
Smith
defense.
needs to shoot about 35 times a game if you're that team.
Hell yeah.
I hate to wrap it up. You know what? We did very little prep for this show, and I kind of said, let's go open forum. Probably one of the best shows we've done in a long time. I really enjoyed tonight. We don't really get to sit here and talk college basketball except for the next 2 weeks, and we will talk exclusively. Go ahead, Robbie.
I can't wait for the Selection Sunday and then wherever we're doing after that.
You know what?
Explain Providence and KenPom, Rob, though. I need to know.
Up 5 now. I have a slight announcement that you guys don't even know about. We're going to do during the tournament. The Marion Messenger paper, we're going to do live video stories during the tournament. And I may draft you guys in it. So if you watch a game on TV and you want to do a 30-second
delay,
you go online and I'll give you access to it. You say your highlights of the game, and instead of writing an article, you can do a video newspaper report instantly through the Marion Messenger tournament week.
We watch every game. The only problem with Rob is he could be 30 Jack and Cokes deep in Vegas.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think I'm going to Cherokee this year. Vegas, the flights are so
Cherokee, eh?
Yeah.
Boys, I hate to head us towards closing out, but we've got to get to some bet your nuts. There's people waiting to make money. There's people waiting to hear Robbie's NASCAR take. So let's go to it. This week, by the way, I've missed like 3 weeks in a row, so I'm going to go last this week because I've got a good one. Let's start with Raj Mehta on their Bet Your Nuts. What have you got, buddy?
The hardest part is, like Rob, we all say college basketball gives you 1 day of lines, and that's all I look at, really. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go Michigan -1.5 tomorrow night against Iowa at home, number 24 Iowa. I just don't see it in Iowa. I was close to going TCU. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, though. They're 10.5-point dogs at Kansas, but I will go Michigan 1.5 against Iowa. Yeah, that's it.
Well, Jack Wad, you just stole my thunder.
Hey,
I'll just
sure
go ahead and
I
pitch in
did.
on mine.
What about Illinois?
Last week I said Michigan's a tournament team. If they're going to make it, they got to win tomorrow night. Give me Michigan money line to win that game straight up over Iowa.
Way more athletic than Iowa.
Yeah. Brandon Chain, what do you have?
I've got a little bit of a future deal here. We're going to go to the Mountain Valley Conference, and I'm going to pick Missouri State to win the Mountain Valley Conference over Loyola. And they're at plus 550 right now. From what I've been reading, they're shooting lights out. I haven't watched the game, but everything I've read, this is tipping me towards Missouri State in the Mountain Valley Conference.
Drake just beat Loyola Chicago. Actually, Loyola Chicago, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Nice.
Well, they're
Good,
the favorite.
good basketball conference. You're right. Good basketball conference.
All right, guys. We wait for this each week. Welcome to the Robbie Davis NASCAR
We
Minute,
do.
sponsored by Davis Kessler and Davis, where you can drive fast and still get coverage. You sound like an insurance company then. You can drive fast and still get
He is an insurance company.
What do you got, Robbie Davis?
All right, so for Saturday, and yes, we've talked about it's hard to bet college basketball in the future, but Ken Palm's got Tennessee winning by 7 against Arkansas, or Tennessee versus Arkansas. Tennessee by 7. I bet it drops down to 5.5 just because Arkansas beat Tennessee at home. So if it gets down below 6, bet Tennessee. If it gets to 6, bet Tennessee.
Double digits.
It's going to be a blowout. And
Where's the
then,
racing, dude? That's
I'm
all
getting
people
to
care
that.
about. Apparently.
And so I hate to be a broken record, but the best driver on the best team is the favorite. Kyle Larson.
I know
Plus
who that is now.
150. Bet him. He's going to win. He won last week.
I bet Kyle Larson.
He won last week. I told you guys he's going to win again. Best driver, best team.
Another guy from California. Like what?
They're in Vegas.
I don't get it.
Did
Yeah,
Robbie
you can
just
try to bet Kyle
dude.
Busch all you want, Brandon, but no, he's not going to win his home track. Larson owns it. He's the favorite. He's going to win again.
Did Robbie just give us his bet your nuts as Tennessee and Kyle Larson? Has anybody heard that one before? Raise your hand.
Yes. I mean, pretty much. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get it.
I thought this was reckless
facetiousness.
speculation, not reckless predictions.
By the way, I've been in Vegas and I looked and it was more rednecks than I've ever seen in my life than usual. It wasn't even Monday through Wednesday, which is redneck capital of Vegas. I was like, what is going on? And I saw these leather jackets with logos and numbers. It was the stupid race, dude. I've never seen that many people. Needless to say, the Hooters Hotel and Margaritaville in Vegas were packed. And New York. That's the 3 red hangouts. But I was like, dude,
I think
what is
Margaritaville has some grilled chicken nachos or something, don't they?
Oh God, you're making me nauseous.
Hey, you know how it's race week? The Luxor is sold out. The only hotel.
Exactly. Another beautiful Circus is packed.
Hey, I'm sorry. Can I get credit on Kyle Busch last week? I bet that was my bet. He won.
Wait, I thought you said Kyle Larson.
Congratulations,
Larson.
How many Kyles are there in racing? Like 30?
Brandon said Kyle Larson. He's a fool. I said Kyle. Wait, no, he's a Kyle Busch. That's a Kyle Larson.
Mississippi State has a 2 and 1 to go back up 2 after Auburn has
It's
made
shaky
a
here
run.
now.
4 minutes, 13 seconds left.
It's time to
SEC
cut it.
Network.
All right, let's cut her out of here.
Final words?
Raj Meta.
Not to be bum anybody out, but I lost one of my best friend's fathers, Deacon Donald J. Norris, who was just a pioneer and just you didn't mess with that dude. And he and I loved to make fun of his kid, Chris Norris. And, it was just a tough loss. Thought he had more time. Big 70s funk guy, sweet fro back in the day. Just oozed like, don't F with me. And he passed early Monday morning. So just wanted to, I don't want to dedicate anything because I wouldn't want to put this show taint his memory in that sense, but not to bum anybody out because he was awesome and he wouldn't want anybody to be bummed. But rest in peace, Mr. Norris. One of the funniest things real quick is one time in college, it was after college and I thought I was calling Chris, we call him Norris. And apparently I called his parents' house and I left a interesting message and his dad goes, man, that boy Raj called again. That boy was drunk as a skunk. And we've saved, like we always say that now. So rest in peace. He's above in a better place. It was tough the last few days. So, but again, he'd want us to stay positive. I just really wanted to say something about it because I'll miss him.
That's awesome, man. You said it was Deacon Norris?
Deacon Donald J. Norris, Rancho
Shout out to the
Cucamonga,
Norris
California.
family.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll have to play some funk on the intro next week as a tribute. That's the kind of tribute you can probably appreciate.
Johnny Taylor, big Michael Jackson fans, obviously, the whole family.
All right. Brendan
Johnny Taylor.
Chain, listen, man, we're not going to tell your secret and let the world know you survived the first basketball round table of your career. But you survived the first basketball round table and did quite well. You got to trust the knowledge. You got a little more than you think. Good show, buddy.
Even without Ohio State being good, they lost to Nebraska and he still dominated.
I don't think
I thought he was just going to talk about Liddell. Well, he couldn't, but yeah.
I mean,
did very well.
That's pretty much all I had was Liddell from Ohio State. Or Brandon.
They're better than their record, though.
Nebraska no. They're just
Gallons and Verge, but that was rough.
Yeah, but whatever.
They're missing Key, it is right, and somebody else.
Yeah, they're missing Key and
but still
another guard.
I don't care if you're missing.
No, it's all good. Anyway,
I've
like I said,
ever since that.
We're not going to make a big splash this year.
Bruce Pearl out.
We're not making a big splash this year. It's all good. Liddell's going to be a great NBA talent, though. By the way. Now, final words is how bad are the Lakers right now? I mean, good God. I mean, it's in blow-up mode. Like, they should trade LeBron and try and get some picks. Like, LeBron's having statistically one of his best seasons, which is insane.
He's the only guy who can score.
I know, but that's the
By the way, mutual
problem.
Interest today with Westbrook leaving the Lakers. Mutual. Supposedly.
Yes.
That's an ESPN.
Yeah. Well,
blow it up.
That had to happen. That had to happen.
And you've got to move. You've got to move AD, even though he's still an elite player.
AD
cannot stay healthy.
You can't trade everyone.
He plays. AD
Only
plays
value
what,
you have.
maybe 40 games a year. Like, I mean, come on. Like,
great
you can't.
talent.
Yeah, he's a great talent, but he just. Lakers.
Pack it in this year. They're donezo.
I think they were like plus 400 or something to not make the playoffs. I would take that bet all day. Like, get your money there. There's another bet your nuts nugget. Take that. And then
booed at home last night.
Yeah, and then how good is Ja Morant, man? This dude is electric. Like, the most exciting. Robbie texted out, I think last night, to everyone. He's the most exciting player to watch by far. And man, what this kid does, the athleticism, it is unbelievable. It is so fun to watch. Like,
they're the 3 seed.
They are. I know. And this dude is just, I mean, dunking over people. That, even though his dunk was spectacular, that last second buzzer shot, catch in the air, shoot,
I don't know.
and
That
make
dunk was awesome.
He's
the
got
dunk
it.
was awesome. I know it's
Yeah.
more flashy, but the play, the athleticism in that play to catch and shoot and make that shot, that was way more athletic than just
He's got ups,
dunking over
but he
somebody.
gets up so quickly. Everybody underestimates him. He just goes. He gets up,
Dude, he
like,
is
really high, but dude, he just like shoots up.
he is phenomenal. So
But Memphis
He's
has
a
got to find him some
generational-
dance partners. They've got to get
generational
some
player.
free agents.
they
to come
do.
in.
Yeah.
They do. And they need to do whatever they can to never let Morant out of that place. At
Yes,
all.
sir.
61-59, by the way, 2 minutes left. Randall was about to say it. Mississippi State, SEC Network over Auburn.
Yes. Hey, I'm going to go next. Robbie, you can have the last.
You're absolutely
word.
right.
I'm
It's
gonna
phenomenal.
jump subject and just I don't want to get into all the behind the scenes labor issues. I don't want to get into all of what's causing it. I just want to say how disappointed I am with Major League Baseball. I'm a guy that walked away from Major League Baseball at one point and did not watch Major League Baseball for several years over a work stoppage. 1995, with the Braves leading the NL best record in baseball, they stopped work and we missed a World Series.
Expos had a better record, right?
Yeah, that's what the Expos did. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But
the
anyways,
Expos. Anyway,
the point remains. Sorry.
the fact that we're here again in 2021 or 2022 and we're looking at a work stoppage, it makes me sick and it makes me question my fandom. And Robbie's always talking about
Owners.
how much you spend your dollars and how you spend your dollars. I have a limited number of fan dollars with a small dollar. And those dollars went to always a 3-game series, sometimes a 2-game series in Atlanta. She loves going. I love taking her. I'm not going this year. It may be several years before I go. I'm very disappointed. And everybody keeps saying, well, Freddie Freeman went. Freddie Freeman's free to go where he is. This is the battle of billionaire corporations fighting with millionaire baseball players over my $37 ticket that's become $99. It is truly a grand for me and Anna Lee to spend 3 days in Atlanta going to baseball games. And it's
The owners.
disappointing. And I am not a rich man, and I chose Major League Baseball. This year, I'm going to choose a trip to Florida or something for me and my daughter. You've lost me for this year.
What about all the staff? 162 games, 10,000 people working per game. Just horrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's what a debacle this is. I really thought when they extended the deadline, like I said, last week's show, I really thought they could get this deal done. And then, they even extended the deadline, and I really felt the progress was there. They were really trying to work for it. And now it's just like,
you're not even
close. Not even close.
Trout did say, though, we need the CBA to get this right today.
We went to the Father's Day game, the Saturday game with parking last year, just the tickets, not the hotel room. And we didn't sit 15 rows behind the plate. We sat in moderate seats. And I remember my credit card bill was $505.
Dude.
2 games with an 11-year-old, tickets and parking.
It's insane.
Well, what you have to understand.
Dodgers, Braves, we go. We stay at the Omni so we can walk there. Beautiful experience. Atlanta has done such a great job. I don't even know what overall everything we spent. I'm like, dude, I can't look at it. I just hope we win this series, which we didn't again, which son of a bitch. But yes, I think probably $2,000 overall.
Yeah, probably.
There's 162 games. Spending $2,000. I mean, that's insane.
That's insane.
I used to buy tickets.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
It's never not been billionaires versus millionaires arguing.
Yes,
but it's always been this. This has always been the debate. The debate is this is the only league that has work stoppages because they don't care, right? So like the NHL, they did it one year, and they've been as great as NHL product is. They've been ostracized pretty much because finally ESPN picked them back up. Now they're maybe getting mainstream, but yeah, like look, baseball. You think you're America's pastime still, which is crazy. But let a spring football league take off and see what happens. And like already right now, the Super Bowl was last week or 2 weeks ago. It's 2 weeks to the combine. The NFL is already creeping on March Madness. Like the NFL draft's coming. Like
Shoot it.
the NFL is planting
Excuse me,
their
Robbie.
flag
We're going to overtime.
everywhere.
Overtime.
In Starkville.
Now, Rob, one thing about baseball, though, you got like 10 different levels, minor of the minors, 162 games, 40-man rosters. It does change things a bit, but yeah, it's the league that consistently, well, I guess football has 80 dudes, but 16 games. Consistently, they do this. And it's just sad. And the rich get richer, but no, I agree. They are so far apart, it's pathetic.
Yeah. Well, they have a big.
Look. Let me just say this briefly. If you're an ESPN executive and you're paying for college football, NFL, and you're looking at, hey, Amazon, Apple, Google are coming in here with these contracts. Do I have enough money to pay for MLB or do I let them go?
Why does the USFL exist right now?
Yeah.
That's
So
why.
this is where MLB is in trouble because, hey, MLB will let you guys go and we will overpay or pay justified for the NFL and NCAA football. And that's what we're holding on to. That's the trouble MLB's in my opinion. Like, you're overplaying your hand.
Here's the problem. And it comes down to the fan base. If your fan base is people with net incomes over 7 figures, you're fine. But your fan base is not that. It is cheaper to go to an NFL game right now than an MLB game or an NBA game. The sport with the fewest games have the most reasonable prices. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's insane.
The Dodgers sell out 50. I mean, it is one of the lowest median income like areas that they sell out. Now, I made the joke that nobody's saving up for Harvard, but yeah, I mean, that's a terrible thing to say, but it literally changes families and generations they spend on this, and it just keeps going up. I don't understand.
Brandon, you go, then I got something to say after you talk.
No, I was just going to say it. This whole big fight, the billionaires are still going to win because statistically, the first 20, 30 games is their lowest profit shares of the entire season. So if they miss a few games, they don't give a crap. Like, it doesn't matter to them. So the players are the ones that are losing their salaries and they're not getting paid for these games. There's no makeup games. So there will be a bargain or an agreement that comes, before the real profit starts kicking in for these owners.
Minor league kids have nothing to do right now. Nothing.
I know, and that's always been their stronghold on this entire lockout situation. Is those beginning games are not a big deal to the billion. They would rather, they're losing money on those games. So I mean, why? They don't care.
Under the presumption that if there's a shorter, more people will watch with a condensed season.
Right.
Yeah, they have mad leverage, dude. Mad leverage. You're right.
Yeah. So here's the disconnect that I don't get, and maybe someone can explain it to me. Baseball owners are getting gate revenue, right? And so that's the gate revenue in local television. NFL is going to, we don't give a damn if anyone's in the stadium or not. We're doing television revenue. And it's so extraordinarily much higher on television revenue. So, like, baseball's doing, like, they're going old school. Like, yeah, we want people in the seats. And NFL saying, hey, we're building Super Bowl stadiums. We're building entertainment arenas. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, we are a global product.
MLB can never be that because they have 162 games a year. They can never be that.
I get that, but they're saying
the revenue sharing is more of a lifeline in MLB than it is in like.
I get it, but they're gonna get bigger contracts in the NFL on TV wise because it's more of a sit at home production type deal than a Tuesday at 1 a.m. or 1 p.m.
So much more
I stay up till
profitable than gate
1:30.
revenue.
We got to wrap her up, Robbie. What's your
I
last
agree.
words other than I didn't mean to start the can of worms, but I did.
No, we can talk MLB
Everything's
all
a
day.
can of worms.
Again, thank God for Arthur Blank. A hot dog is $2 for the Falcons game. A soda is $1. Popcorn $2. Burgers $4.
Amy Adams Strunk #, please.
Yep. Robbie, what's
Dude,
your last words?
$8 for a hot
Same
dog
thing.
in LA.
My
$14
last
beers.
word is, and this is a very local issue. I drove from Chattanooga to Murfreesboro today, and from Manchester to Murfreesboro, there are craters of potholes on Interstate
Semis.
24.
It's not normally like
they're
that.
Terrible.
The last 2 months, it's been a lot of ice and rain, and it's caused a lot of problems on the interstates and roads.
It's
So
sub sea level. I mean, it's gonna. I mean,
typically,
it's not well built.
no.
Only 2
Typically,
lanes too.
typically, I-24 is the best interstate.
So my other
Look at Nashville guys even defending the freeway that goes through there.
My other
Right.
takeaway is Thompson Bowling's
piece of
going to be
shit.
rocking Saturday. I'm excited. We're going to finish the season undefeated, and then this March Madness is going to be wild.
So
Tennessee by double figures.
to wrap it up, our plans are next Wednesday to be live on the air with a conference tournament preview. We'll be here at 9 o'clock. Then we'll be back Sunday at 5 o'clock, and we will go to 7 o'clock. 1 hour before the. Well, you know what? Let's make that 5:30 to 7:30.
Auburn up 4.
Yeah, Auburn's up 4, 66-62.
Mississippi State's blowing this. I don't know how you guys said it.
We'll
Do
come on.
tournament games start tomorrow, by the way? Conference tournaments? When do they start?
do. We'll come on 30 minutes before the selection announcement, and we'll stay an hour and a half after them and break down the brackets. 2 hours is about max for us. We're approaching that now. So for Randall Cunningham, Raj Mehta, Brendan Chain, the basketball expert, and Robbie Davis, the NASCAR expert, this is reckless
Number
as
5
hell
again this
speculation
weekend.
we'll send you next week.
Number 5 again.
Kyle Larson.
Good one.